All right, my guy, Scott,
Hey,
how we living?
we're living good. All is good. Cheers from Vermont.
Yes,
Cheers from
sir. Yes,
Vermont.
sir. Dude, I'm so stoked to sit down with you. Obviously, you and I been sharing banter back and forth on LinkedIn for far too long. It's far overdue. My man, Scott Fisk. Welcome to my world, my guy. Um,
Hello.
you're in, what is it? It's South Royalton, Vermont, right?
Yeah, I'm right near the New Hampshire border. I'm about 14 miles deep off of the Connecticut River.
Okay,
Which,
sick.
so I'm like lower third on the east side, right on the border.
All right.
Yep.
Have you always been there? Or has that been the stomping ground the whole time? Like, where'd you come from? Where you go?
I always like to joke and say that I've got dual citizenship. And what I mean by that is I'm originally from New York
Okay,
and I live in New England, but the Empire blood still like rips right through
I
my
hear it.
veins. And you can't shake New York out of anybody.
That's what
You
I
know,
hear.
yeah, but when I was over this past weekend, I was at a men's conference, warrior conference over in Pottersville, New York, and there was 520 men just totally thrown down, head down, praise up,
Love
and
it.
it was rad. And when I go into New York and I see the sign that says "Welcome to the Empire State," my chest just fills up. But also, on my way back to Vermont, when I see the sign, "Welcome to the Green Mountain State," same magic. I
Yeah.
mean, my dad's originally from Vermont, and we migrated here. And even though we migrated here, I did a lot of moving around, and I finally came back. It's a
Okay.
great place to raise kids. It's a
For
great place.
sure. Dude, it's beautiful. I always like to do a little Google Maps search, especially. So I checked out some of the city, did like an overview. Beautiful, man. It's beautiful. Although, right now, is your weather rubbish right now?
It has been horrible. Like yesterday and today were pretty hit, and so I actually had like leg day. I was outside pushing my mower. I've got about I probably have like an acre that I mow, and
Dang.
it's not conducive to a zero turn or anything like that. It's just me, my arms, my legs, and sometimes I'm really not happy with that, but I'm grateful that I have a body that is willing and able to do it. The nice thing is when I'm out there, I mean, it smells good, fresh air. I'm not in front of my 40-inch design monitor,
Yeah.
which is what I'm looking at right now. But I'm also working on layouts when I'm out there.
Ah.
I created content in my head when I'm out there mowing. I'm thinking about projects with my partners. So every minute's precious. But yeah, I mean, I gave you a long answer. The weather has sucked.
No, I love
And
it though, man. I'm
yeah,
here I'm here for the long answers, man. We're connecting beyond the post. There is no character limit. So I'm here for it all day.
right.
Let's dive into some of these design concepts that are squirreling your brain when you're out there mowing. Obviously, you are co-founder, owner of Studio 669. That's
That's
right.
right. That's right.
That's epic, bro. Obviously, for those of you guys listening, it's a full design studio specializing in branding, apparel design, logo design. I see a specific focus on automotives. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of the first thing I want to jump into is like, my dude, where did the love of cars and specifically like drawing and designing different hot rods and stuff, like, where did that come from, bro?
Well, I'll tell you, truth of the matter. The whole illustration started in fight or flight mode back in 2004. I'm a formally trained sign writer, meaning like old dragsters at the strip, grid correct, hot rod, pinstriping, hand
Love it.
lettering, brush. Uh, and I was presented with a fork in the road back in 2004, and I had a choice to make that the sign business, what I was doing, wasn't going to satisfy all of my financial burdens.
Yeah.
Drawing was always something that I loved. I created ever since I was a child, self-preservation, all of that. And we can put a pin in that if you want to go back and
No,
visit
I
it.
do. I do.
Okay. Well, anyway, I got to this. All right, I'll go fast. I lost my mother when I was a very young boy,
Man.
19, and I was 8 years old. And drawing was something she always fostered in me when I was little. And therapy was nothing that we knew about,
Yeah.
right? So whether I realized it or not, I was using art as a place that was safe to go to. I was using it for self-preservation before we knew what self-preservation meant. And, because we're men, you're supposed, even at eight
Keep
years
it
old,
in,
it's
baby.
power
Don't show
through,
your
chip
cards.
back straight. Yeah, because showing your cards is weak, right? And that's a lie. But just putting that out there for
No,
all the
I
men,
agree wholeheartedly.
yeah, you got something, find a brother, talk to a brother. Because we're stronger together, iron sharpens iron. But when I was presented with this challenge where I needed to bring my art, this thing that was private to me, out into the world, that was something that just belonged to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I love being a band writer, but it was just something that belonged to me, and I just always had a love for cars, and it actually bloomed out of, I was doing a mural. I used to do a lot of airbrushing, a lot of automotive themed murals on my in my projects. And one day I was just looking at the pattern, and I'm like, why can't that be the art? Why does that drawing of those cars and that cruising scene have to be just a pattern?
Mhm.
And that's when it all started coming together. I mean, it was really seriously, dude. It was either like make it work or say goodbye to stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time in my life where I was selling things to make mortgage, and it's real. And we should. I hated the conditioning, but I'm grateful for the conditioning because you'd be willing, you'd be surprised what you're willing to give up when your kids are counting on you to
Yeah.
keep a roof and all of that. That's just real talk. But it ended up not. I was like, I hope it could complement the sign business. And this is back when magazines were still street cred. And not only did it complement the sign business, it ended up taking over everything. And I was traveling all of the Northeast, and I was reaching out to the magazines, through my AOL account way back,
Right.
just letting them know, I'm an artist. I'm already traveling to these hot rod events to get my name out, and do you need Northeast coverage? And this is a dude that, failed out of English. Next thing you know, I'm writing for 5 brands. I'm writing for 5 magazine titles. I'm already there. My oldest boy, who's now 26, at the time was 9, and I was single parenting or co-parenting with with his mother.
Yeah.
But on weekends, it wasn't abnormal for him to be getting in the car with me at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, clicking down to Connecticut, doing a throwdown at an event. But at 9 years old, he was walking around with my Nikon, and he was shooting. He had a media pass at 9.
Man,
Yeah, and he was shooting content for me. And then he would go over and he would spin his reel walking up and down the midways, and then he would come back to the booth, where all my art was, and then he would man my booth, bring in the Q factor. Everybody knew my kid. Hey Trey, if you're watching. And then while he was doing that, then I would be out covering the event, interviewing owners of cars and stuff like that. And what was really wonderful, I'm already there, and I had become a syndicated artist. And back then, being in a magazine is street cred.
it was huge, bro.
Yeah, now we're all digital. Everything is digital.
Yeah.
And the magazines that I was in, it was really lovely. When you have a centerfold, or you're writing for them, you're putting it out in front of a 500,000 eyes.
Yeah.
But as we all know, magazines kind of turned into a house of cards. I got into it and I was hitting it hard, and it was really a wonderful ride. And writing those articles paid some good nickels. Writing an article paid between 300 and 500 bucks, and
Wild.
that's
That's good
solid.
coin, man. That's good
And
coin.
and you're Yeah, so if I get home and I'm writing for 3 or 4 titles covering a particular event, it's just this is before ChatGPT. This
Right.
is about sitting down and throwing down. But it's easy to write about things you love. And by the way, I don't use ChatGPT. I just still just write.
Yeah.
But it's easy to write about things that you love, and the fellowship, the camaraderie at the car shows.
No, dude, I love that. I love that. I want to tell you, Scott, man, one of the reasons that I wanted to connect with you and why I think that we vibed kind of off the cuff instantly is, dude, you are so genuinely and authentically yourself. And I think that that is such an amazing quality in people. And I think that it's far and few between to find in people. And even just kind of hearing that story of it was a fight or flight, it was a make or break. You decided to bet on yourself. You found these awesome outlets. And then, like, look, man, I, especially with respect to the art, and I want to get into the art because I think that's what I'm most stoked on about you, is I grew up in Los Angeles, very much Lords of Dogtown, skateboarding, surfing, like the graffiti culture. All right. This is a little bit beyond the magazine life, but actual, like,
Yeah.
murals on buildings, Mr. Cartoon, your Banksies, Shepard Fairey. I just wrote an article on Shepard Fairey. I grew up in that whole world. And so I think that that's why your art really speaks to me, because there is a kiss of that very graffiti, street life, street style concept. Has that kind of always been baked into
Yeah,
what you're
I mean,
doing?
like, yeah, I mean, I'm a Gen Xer. Any Gen Xers out there, like,
There
yes.
you get
But
it. Get it.
I mean, I was the tail end of ape hangers and Schwinn's and jumping your friends,
Yes,
putting a
dude.
weapon out crate into the entrance of BMX. I mean, I still wish I had Makuhara. I grew up drinking from a garden hose
Love it.
and all of that. And I grew up with your friends were your crew. They were your posse. And you went out and just did stupid stuff just because you did stupid stuff. This is
Yeah.
pre-internet. This is pre-ratings. This is pre-dopamine drip. You just rolled, man. You just rolled. And you knew where people were because all the bicycles were in the front yard.
Yeah,
Like, that's
right.
where my
Look for the collection of, but dude, exactly.
yeah, that's right. It was now I want to be like I just said something that was beautiful and I want to say like, "Oh yeah, that was just those were the days." You know what? Truth be told, even in those days, we were all still struggling with something. There were hardships even in those times now. Like I mean, I remember being a kid and I was like losing my mind because I had a flat tire and all my friends were going rolling. I didn't have a tube. I couldn't get a ride from my mom or my dad to Kmart to buy a new tube and I watched all my friends ride off on their bicycles and I lost the adventure.
Yeah.
My sky was falling that day, and I'll never forget it, right? Well, I learned a quick fix soon after. Pull the tire, pack it with crushed leaves, and fill it back up and just
And
go.
get back on the road, baby.
Leaves in it.
I love that, man. I love that so much. But yeah, dude, honestly, I feel like that's ultimately why I gravitated towards you and your lifestyle and a lot of the content that you're putting. It's just so wholesome. It's so like in the best way possible, disgustingly you. It could not come from anybody else. And it's gross in the best way possible because it is just a one out of one concept from Scott Fisk.
Am I losing you? Did I lose you?
Am I back? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
I'm back. I'm back in the
Is that
game.
you?
It's me.
Is that you?
It's still me.
No, but I mean, is that your side that was buffering? Because I was still all alive and
No,
happy.
my side was good. And to be fair, this studio takes my audio separate from your audio. So if you see any plugs, it doesn't disrupt any of the. You just nod your head and pretend like you could hear me, and then I'll come back
Hey,
online.
that's real time, everybody.
Yeah,
There's no.
yeah. No, dude, that's the
Yeah.
best part of these conversations. I post this stuff. This stays in the episode all day. Are you kidding?
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I've got a thing tonight. I'm on the opposite side of the mic, and if we get to the whole IAIM, the other thing that I'm doing, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
building in but at any rate, same idea. I mean, I'm editing content later and I've got a piece of paper off to the side where I'm like writing timestamps
Yeah.
because I want to go back to those flavorful moments.
No, for sure, for sure. Dude, I want to jump into, especially because there's a crazy noise in my background. Can you hear that? Can you hear this
Yeah,
crazy noise in
I'm
my
picking you up.
Can you hear?
No, no, I cannot. But
Okay.
I'll like lose you. You'll be talking and then all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah. My weather here in Houston, Texas is just about as rubbish as it is for you in Vermont. And so my internet has been, hey, but the party goes on, baby. The music's still playing regardless.
okay,
I wanted to say, I was able to look online. I saw a couple super dope snapshots from a book that you came out with in 2012, self published. It's a how to book entitled Hot Rod Illustration, hashtag 101.
oh one.
That's right, baby. Drawing autos with motive. Where in your linealogy of publications to the magazines to magazines kind of falling out, like how did this book release, which I saw really picked up some steam, dude? Like,
Yeah, it was an Amazon
my
bestseller.
gosh, how did that change the face? Was that a part of the inception of Studio 669?
Oh. No, well, first off, instead of people like Automotive Illustrator, my oldest boy, I have a son who's 26, but at the time when he was little, um, you know, there's this whole thing like you draw cartoons. I don't draw cartoons. I draw vehicles with a stylized bent. They're very technical from my engineer background. I was headed to be a civil engineer. I'm an illustrator instead. But
That's
he
a
came
heavy
into
switch, Scott.
yeah, Yeah. I was in calculus class one day thinking I would rather be doing a flame job on a motorcycle tank. I never looked
I
back.
love it.
Uh,
That's that genuine
but I still have that
authenticity I was talking
technical
about.
background. At any rate, the book, the book was my son walked in on me one day and he said, you know, you don't draw cartoons, you draw autos with motive. So instead of automotive, autos with motive. And I was just like, and he was like chewing on a piece of bazooka gum.
Didn't even know he was dropping a bomb on you real quick.
Well, guess what? Guess who trademarked that? This guy.
This guy, you still giving him royalties. I know you are, Scott.
Instead of automotive, autos with
I
motive. And I
love
let the
that.
car be the monster. So if anybody here is remembers Rat Fink and Big Daddy Roth and the monsters hanging out of the car, I don't draw that stuff. I let the vehicle be the monster. And
Love it.
at any rate, yeah, so that book came to life in 2012. I just had the 12-year anniversary or coming up on 13. I had two publishing houses reached out to me because, you know, they were seeing my stuff in the magazines and they
Yeah.
wanted to know if I would put together a book. And one was out of the United Kingdom and one was out of, I don't know, North Carolina. And they sent me their contracts and I'm like looking it over and I'm like, man, I'm going to be like dumping all the skin and they've got no game, you know,
Yeah.
skin in the game. I'm like, I'd rather do my own. And this is when Kickstarter was still like brand new. So I had a designer that helped me at the time because he possessed skill sets that I have now, but at the time I did not possess the skill set. I mean, that's when they still had webmasters.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
the website now, but he helped me put together the whole book. I learned everything about margins and gutters and all of that stuff. So it was a wonderful adventure. And yeah, and then I launched the book through a Kickstarter launch.
That's so
And
epic, dude.
yeah. And I still have copies left over. I have so many things that I do, but you can't like carpet bomb LinkedIn with like, I got this, and then I got this, and then I
Yeah.
do that, you know. You get what I'm trying to say?
No, for sure. But I mean, I was able to find it. Obviously, I looked in your employment history, and that's where I was like, "Oh, dude,
99 upload.
my boy's
He'll
writing
come back.
books." Like, so I for sure jumped on that train very, very quickly. I love that, man. I love that. And so let's go back
Yeah.
into uh the inception of Studio 669. Is that how you pronounce it? Is it like 669 Studio 669?
And I remember being out in LA at the Grand National Roaster Show, and I had on my 669 hat, and
Sec,
you know
we're
they thought it
coming
was an
back.
area code, like I'm back.
We're
You
back.
you
Hey,
got
we
me?
back. What's the correct
Yeah. I
pronunciation?
was at the Studio 669.
Okay, all right, solid. So talk to me about
Yeah.
that getting off the ground.
Well, I mean, I just remember one time being out in LA at the Grand National Roaster Show out in Pomona, and they were like, they thought 669 was an area code. They thought I was from like some gang or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah,
no, that's just where I'm from, East, you know? Studio 669 just came out of where I am. You know, I have a home studio, and way back when I was doing this whole fight or flight, you know, I told this story before. I don't need to be in a fancy artist loft to create. You can give me a clipboard, a milk crate, and put me in the middle of a parking lot. I mean, I'm
love it.
totally about no posers. I don't do vanilla. It's like put your money where your mouth is and just let's go. Less
Yeah,
talk, more do. Well, I've always worked from a home studio because I felt like having some creative space was an overhead that was taking away from, well, the bottom line. You know, I've always believed in running a lean ship. I just do.
yeah.
And I believe in what you got to make hard choices. There's always another notch in the belt, you know? So if you got to pull the belt tighter, you got to pull and be honest about it. And there was, again, you know, there were some times that were really scary. Now it's not like that. You know, you get some of these real holiday moments, but that's the beauty about never forgetting where you come from. That's the beauty. That's the beauty.
Love that.
And I've always been attracted to people that are just willing to be real. I've always been attracted to people that have a true servant's heart.
Yeah.
I'm attracted, you know, to people that may, you know, you may not even be my avatar. That doesn't matter, but I'm still going to send the elevator down for you because I'm attracted to authenticity. And that's such a buzzword. No, show it to me.
Yeah.
Really show me. Yeah.
I
Did
love
I
it,
answer
dude.
your question?
Yeah, bro. Ask me a question. Come on now. What you
No, I
got?
said, did I answer your question? I want
Yeah,
to make
yeah, dude. Of course you did. Of course. Look, man, I don't mean to get all like philosophical on us, but there's a quote by Khalil Gibran, who is the author of the book The Prophet. And one of my favorite quotes in that is, work is love made visible. And I think that you are the walking definition of work is love made visible. I mean, even just getting to rap with you, hearing your background story, there's been trials and tribulation, but you're like the Webster's dictionary definition of persistence, perseverance, consistency. Like, I think, like that's what I love about you, dude, is you are chasing your passion and you are literally living work is love made visible. And that's such a cool thing, man. That's so lost in today's world. I myself, in what I like, I'm a suit and tie in the finance world. I found an outlet with mutual connections that there's no money. I'm not in it for any like, but it just fuels my heart so much getting to rap with people. And so that's why I like rapping with people like you, bro.
I love that, man. That you just like I should be like taking notes, right?
I'm taking notes from you, bro. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like when you show up, like really show up. And my daughter, I have a daughter that is 11, and she's a creative, and I really foster this in her. And she says, "Daddy, will I do this professionally when I grow up?" And I said, "Baby," I said, "I can't answer that, but I can tell you this. Always hold on to it because it's yours."
Yeah,
And I said, "Because I tell you, honey, as right as rain, there are grown-ups that don't have a thing to go to. And we all need a thing to go to. So like when you're saying how we're doing this right now, this is like this is like depositing a seed in your soul, right? It's
100.
not all about it's not all about the portfolio.
Yeah,
It's not about the shiny car in the yard, which I at first I don't care about that stuff. That doesn't impress
yeah,
me. It
me
doesn't matter.
either.
But the next door neighbor has the shinier car.
Yeah,
And that's all just a vicious malarkey. But there was a season in my life when I was learning what does it mean to be a man. I had to look all polished. I had to have all of this, and then you go into debt. That's the 20-year-old decade, and then the 30s is fixing what you did in your 20s, and then the 40s is like, okay, I'm getting it. I'm in my 50s now.
dang. I honestly wouldn't have guessed that. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have
Yeah.
guessed that. You look great, Scott.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. But back to my daughter, I want her to hold on to self-preservation and what it means. I've also got a 9-year-old boy, so I've got 9, 11, and 26.
Love
He's
it,
the
dude.
26-year-old. I always tell people I got 2 litters. So when I see all the young dads on Dad Good because you're repping it really well.
You know,
When I see all the young men on there, like Warren and Charles and Gui that are, I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it. Is
it's
it
I
Gui or
I learned it's Gee.
Gui?
Gee,
Whatever.
my guy.
So hats off to those guys, like in terms of really trying to make something there. Always want to make sure your heart's in the right spot
Yeah,
because when you get overnight things like that, it can make your head wanna, but never forget where you come from. But I just love seeing these guys that are talking about being good fathers, being plugged into kids, all of that stuff. That's relevant,
yeah.
so I mean, I've already been through that season, but I'm grateful that they're doing this, like how flexing it for that way, and just like you, everybody that's plugged in, I get in there too, and I like to do some stuff, but I'm an older dad,
No, but
but I
dude, the Slack needs older dads. Like one of the
yeah
coolest
yeah yeah yeah
things is, man, that community. Like going back to how full circle when we were saying, men, rough exterior, don't show your cards. That
right
is like a whole community where you are allowed to show your cards. Like I've walked in there with some really vulnerable questions, like, dude, my daughter's struggling with this. I can't XYZ. And to have like 20 guys be like, bro, I got you. I dealt with this. This is what I did. It really is magic. I'll be honest, man. So I know you commented on my post. I just released this book last week, Corporate Casual, the one sitting behind me. It had
yeah
been an idea for years. And it wasn't until some of my conversations with Warren, with Guy and Charles, where Warren says this, he has this quote. He goes, make it exist and then make it good. And dude, it just hit me right here. And I was like waiting for this pillar of perfection for me to even put the keys in the engine to start. And so I just did it. And I credit Dad Good and that whole community for giving me the confidence in myself to pursue something that I think that I was passionate about. So,
Yeah, it really comes down to we are to fly the plane as we build it.
yeah, man.
And it's similar to like what he was saying, and build it in public.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many people want to rally. It's really important. I'm all about step up to the plate and strike out huge.
Dude, me too.
Because everybody wants end zone. Everybody wants to point to the bleachers and nail it out like Babe Ruth. But what everybody forgets is it was thousands of strikeouts before it went out into the grandstands.
Yeah,
There
man.
was so many fumbles and interceptions before the end zone dance. Like, be willing to fail.
Yeah. Fail
Be willing
forwards.
to fail. Huh?
I said fail forwards. That's kind of like that. I
That,
keep
there,
that in my
no,
head.
there you go. There you go. Show me somebody that's successful, and I'll show you somebody that was willing to get back up, tap off their cleats, and swing again.
Yeah. No,
Again.
100%, dude.
It's like, what are you willing to bleed for?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. You
No.
want, I mean, that's when you know how bad you want, are you willing to bleed for it? Yeah. So like what Warren said, send it out there, get it out there.
Yeah.
And what did you think? What did you think of putting that together? You know, what was it like?
It was easier to put together than it was to release it. I had been sitting on the manuscript for quite some time, and then you print it out again, you bring out the red marker and you go, nah, that done, nah, that line. And the catalyst was finally just like, dude, you could look at this thing 100 times and go, well, should I reformat? Should that paragraph start down there? And I just got to a point where it's like, just do it, bro, just do it, just release it. And so that part for me was scary, but the feedback I've gotten, it's only been a handful of days, the feedback has been like, god, I just feel humbled, honestly humbled, and kind of like looking back at my former self being scared to release it and going like, come on, bro, how much time did you waste just second guessing your own, so
Yeah, yeah. You know, even like when I put together a post, totally different than the book, but we always want to try to like trim it down a little bit
yeah,
because we always got this thing in the back of our head that our readers are lazy and you got to give it to them bite-sized pieces. But the book affords you the opportunity to say like, no, we're not going through the drive-through. We're literally sitting down, throwing out the blanket, and we're having a picnic here.
yeah, man.
So you've invested in the book, which means you're investing in yourself. You know, totally different. My book is for people 7 to 77 years old, and it all talks about like what you're I mean, I'm not exactly sure I'm going to have to get a copy of it even though I'm not corporate. I'd probably want to just get the book just so I can well support you.
I
And
think you would
I was
like it. It's like a street vibe sales book. Like I'm in sales, and so just like a ton of collective stories of me failing hard and me winning huge, and it's got a very Dogtown LA graffiti street vibe to it.
there you go. There you go. I love that. I love that. And you learned, I'm sure you learned so much about
So
yourself.
much, bro, so much.
Did you never have a second chance to put out that book? You know,
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, I put out that book and that was a how-to, but I'm also, and that's the thing, like I'm putting out a post tomorrow because my girlfriend Lara, she's like, you know, I know you can't tell everybody everything about you in every post, but there's so much that people don't know. Like, I'm also a children's book author. I don't talk about, yeah,
bro,
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about that. What are you
No,
doing, Scott? Talk about
I,
that.
I haven't worked on a children's book in a while, but yeah, I mean, I've authored and illustrated 3 children's books as well as that how-to book, and then I've also been an illustrator to several authors for their projects.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Um, and it's so not automotive. And that's funny. I'm putting out a post tomorrow about all of that. Like a designer, a creator, I don't need a master's degree to be able to. I'm just going to use your book as an example.
Yeah,
Any creative worth their salt can jump into any industry. And with good dictation from my partner, I don't use the word client,
yeah.
you and I would partners in a project. It changes your posture. You get, I mean, I could get on a whole
No,
rant,
but
throw
I
away.
love that, man. I love that. The psychology of it.
Yeah, it's not that I dislike client, but when I have somebody at the table, it's a lateral relationship. They could hire anybody and they hired me.
Yeah.
So if you and I were working together, that is your blood and love all over it, and that could be packed with gold, but if you can't even have a cover that makes somebody even wanna take it off of the shelf, by the way, that's an awesome cover,
Thank
love
you,
it,
bro.
absolutely love it. You can't judge a book by its cover. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna debunk it. So, like, you don't wanna run all the way around the bases and then have wet cracker design on that book cover. That's like seeing home plate and falling in the dirt and the
Yeah,
umpire said,
right before you're there, for sure.
like, do not cheese out on it, right? You also don't need to cook it until the cows come home. You'll know when it's right because 'cause it'll just talk to your heart.
Right.
But when it's a partnership, and that's never lost on me because when I'm welcoming into something that's so special to the other person, I need to be right with that. That's their dream, that's their baby, it needs to become my baby too,
Love
right?
that, man. I love that. I'm see future projects already in the works between you and me as partners, Scott, just
Yeah,
from
no,
this
I would
discussion.
love that.
It's
You're gonna
happening.
love you're gonna love tomorrow's post too because I'll be like, "Now listen, it's a partnership, but we both have skin in the game."
That's right.
So, like, it's hard to work with a person. They hire me for my energy, and then they're like,
Yeah, dude,
you know
200.
no, I want you to be on flipping fire. I want it
Yeah.
to be like your sports coat with the jacket and tie. I love blue ties.
Yes.
That's good to know. That's good to know, Chris. Like what kind of because it really is. And metaphorically speaking, I'm an automotive illustrator, and I always joke with people that when I'm designing, like you're riding shotgun through the whole project. I corner tight, keep your elbow in. And when you're working with people, they don't really know what to expect. Well, I want it to be the ride of your life,
Yeah.
and I want you to get out of the car and I want you to be like, "I can't wait to do that
Your
again."
legs shake when you're finally back on solid ground. Like,
Sure. Sure, because when you're working, it really is shotgun, and I might be working on you get the thing put together, and I drive to the first intersection. That's where you are going to review what it is that I'm working on, and I'm sitting at the red light, or I'm yielding,
yeah,
the cam is loping,
revving it
and
up a little. Where are
yeah.
we going?
Yeah, and then you're like, "That's good, that's good. Let's go to the next." So I drive up to into the next intersection is where we have a sit down again, making sure that I'm interpreting what is important to you. Now, like when somebody hires a creative, they're hiring them because they possess a skill set that the partner doesn't have, but it should never be, "Get away, I do what I do. You just sit back and let me do my job. That's why you hired me." It's not like that. Those days are over.
Yeah.
Those days are over. They're over.
No,
But
100.
also,
And
the other days that are over is working with somebody and that partner treating the artist, the creative, like a mutt.
yeah.
No one treats you like a mutt. Do not
No.
be treated like a mutt. You
Well, and I
do
mean
not need to.
the magic in just what you were saying with partnership is look, like one of the silly things that I always say is if I'm not the dumbest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. Like
Yeah.
I want to be surrounded by people that look, I have a tiny pocket of intellect in this block, but you with art or design or somebody else with, whatever it could be, like I want to be a sponge in those atmospheres, let you be authentic and genuine, let me be wild and authentic and like because that's where the magic happens. And we
Yeah.
we can't be
Yeah.
putting these people in boxes.
Oh my gosh, that's in my whole post.
Let's go. I told you, bro.
You
We're
are-
working together. I told you.
Man, I mean, that's like with my application, do not put a creative in a box because they will literally stomp on and smash on it while they're staring into your eyes,
Yeah.
not blink.
Yeah.
Like, do not do that to
And
me.
you're missing the magic.
So if you put a collar, you hire them because you like what they do. Do not make them do what another artist does because any artist is going to say, why don't you just go hire them? So like my style is my own style. I had artists that definitely inspired me coming up, and I still have stuff that I love, and I track a lot of other creatives on LinkedIn. But for the most part, I keep my blinders on
No,
because
for
I don't want
sure.
to get
Just go mow the
influenced.
lawn, Scott. It'll come to you. Just
Don't
go
move
mow
a lot.
the lawn.
Be like Neo, like moving ideas.
That's right, dude. No, I love that, man. That's your how you can really jump into it. You're by yourself in your thoughts. You're doing an
Yeah,
exercise that really doesn't require much thought. You just like, and I think that's the most beautiful thing. That's your creativity lab.
yeah. And like what I love about you, I'm getting the energy from you is like old old school is new school.
A bit.
Yes, we have tools that are helping us make things more efficient. I'm still kind of leaning back toward my old stuff, but I believe in a handshake and eye contact, and I come from my handshake is my signature on a contract.
Yeah.
And that really matters because a good job will get you 5 more and a bad job will lose you 20.
No
So
question.
there's nothing like a warm introduction. So if I'm working with Chris on a project, on a book cover, let's just, and somebody's like, dude, that's so awesome. I love this. I want you to say, I worked with this cat named Scott from Vermont. And they're like, well, where's Vermont? And you say, oh, it's a little village in Connecticut up in the Northeast. But I want you to say, he listened to me. He took direction well. He wasn't full of himself. He led me when I was going astray because he didn't want to burn up my money
Yeah.
and all different things. But that application is not just creative. That application is, let's say you're managing someone's portfolio, just putting it out there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm not, okay? You're managing portfolios for other people. It's their money, it's their blood, sweat, tears. What you want to be able to do is you want to sit down and say, I'm grateful that I'm managing your portfolio because you could hire anybody else. And I'm going to listen to you. And you're hiring me because I'm a professional. And I'm going to lead you where I think I'm going to advise you. But at the end of the day, it's still your decision. But I am going to advise you. They will feel seen. They will feel heard. They will feel respected. They will send people to you.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap if you're painting houses, managing portfolios, mowing lawn care service. Does not matter. A good job gets you 5. A bad one will lose you
That's
20.
right. That's
And
right.
treating humans as commodity is garbage.
It's garbage, man. It's not a transaction.
Yeah, do you follow Matt Williams too, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yo, yeah.
yeah. Did you see Matt's thing today? Like spray and pray. Warren jumped in. He's like, "Oh yeah, the whole spray and pray." And I'm like, "That's kind of lit. Never heard of that." I always think of it as carpet bombing,
Yeah.
right? Like, but spray and pray. Like, wow, all these, you can teach an old dog new tricks. Like, I love it. I'm gonna have to learn how to use it in a sentence
No, for
tomorrow.
sure. Hey, no, you're with it.
Yeah.
We're getting a little short on time, but I want to ask you, I don't even know if this is a question. It's more of something that I observed and I already fished the internet to try and find it and I couldn't. I've seen multiple pictures of you wearing this t-shirt that says custom cultured, but it's in like the Krispy Kreme design.
Yeah.
Is
They're
that from
fresh.
you? Is that something I could just find online? Because that is my vibe, dude.
I can find that for you. I mean, it's in
Is
my
that
bureau.
so funny? I picked out
I was
like
gonna wear it.
the
I was
most
gonna wear it.
detail.
Custom cultured, and then beneath it, it says keeping it fresh.
I love it.
I also have one that's got a big Krylon can.
Oh yeah?
Krylon's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
an old rusted out Krylon can, and instead of Krylon, it says custom
I love it.
culture.
Dude,
Yeah, that's an apparel line. I work with a lot of apparel lines. I ghost writer, ghost artist, whatever you want. I'm a freelance. I'm a gun for hire,
I love it.
right? But I'll wrap it up with I don't want to pinch us too much. I'm like full circle. So now I'm actually I built a private community called IAIM, and IA stands for Independent Artist. AI is artificial intelligence. So I took AI and flipped it to IA, and I immediately was wondering why did no one trademark that? Why has no one done it? So I did. And IA stands for Independent Artist. So if someone were to say to Scott, Scott, are you an IA? My reply is, I am. So that's IAIM. And
Ah.
so that's what that is. And that is a private community, subscription based. But I don't have any doors open and you only so many slots. I believe in less friction and I'm actually like counterculture on that. I give people a free pass, create as a free pass to come in and check it out for 30 days and you can stay or you can split. But it's a generative AI free zone. We see it everywhere. So it's about safe harbor
Yeah.
for art where other people are speaking their language. And even though it's still really small, kind of like Dad Good, it's a networking frenzy. So tonight we're having our show up throwdown, and there'll be a bunch of artists all in there, and we have a talk point. Otherwise, it just turns into Hollywood Squares with a bunch of people just talking over
Yeah,
each
yeah.
other. But a talk point, and we're going to stay to our talk point, and then they can all do their own stuff afterward. And it's not recorded, so that way people can really
Can
just
really, yeah. Dude, I love that, man.
feel safe, feel safe.
Feel
So I
safe.
love that. And I've handed out some scholarships because I've got some artists that can't afford it. I'm like, I can hand out 1 million scholarships.
Yeah, yeah. Dude.
I'll give you a year inside of here because people pay attention to what they pay for.
Yeah.
Open networks are packed with trolls and everybody's got an opinion. When you're in these private communities, there are vibe lines. Everything is controlled because all that noise is outside. You get it?
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. My man,
Anyway,
Scott
yeah.
Fisk, giving back to the community, creating content like nobody's business, running a design studio, the illest designs for everybody who's listening. I'm gonna make sure that I plug all of Scott's information. Shoot me the information on what were we talking about? Shoot me the information on the children's books that you wrote because I got two little girls and I want to jump on that train 100%. My man Scott, hell of an opportunity getting to meet you. I'm so inspired by you. I love your tenacity. I think that the authenticity, your genuine approach, as I said earlier, you are disgustingly you. There is only one out of one you, Scott Fisk, and my man. I couldn't be more stoked to get to come into the Mutual Connections lab and rap with you for a little bit. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. Testimony to LinkedIn. It really works,
It
man.
really works. If you're a human being, it really works, man.
If you know how to flex it, it works.
That's
But
right.
thank you. I'm grateful.
No,
I'm
dude,
grateful to do this.
me too, me too. And this is not going to be the last time. I run a weekend warrior session every now and then. We get a bunch of hooligans in the same group. So this is the first time. It won't be our last time. My man, Scott
Right on.
Fisk.
Awesome. Thank you.
I appreciate you, big dog. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, we'll see you.
Cheers.
Cheers.